So we tried to have a mix of different things, as you have seen. We've talked about the technical and tactical parts now, and we got some of those parts connected, as you have seen, what we have been talking about in the big room as well. And Hanu got into the holistic approach with the person first. And we're going to end now to connect back to that sort of, to the person who we're working with. So I brought in Andy Svärd, who has been working with a lot of goalies in Sweden and probably international as well, when they leave Sweden, and some maybe not even Swedes, over the years. One of those have been David Rautio, who's been on a long, long journey, playing for about 20 years on the highest level in Sweden and in at least one other country I know. And they have been working together for a long time. And as I've been told, David, when finishing his career this season actually, had already been planning to work towards what Andy has mentored him in, and they will give, and some other stuff, and will give you their joint history and how they've been working together, and probably bring us to the future, which
You never know.
I never know. Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So we start with this for quite a while now, and then after we'll have time for questions, and at that time we will bring in a few more people, so we'll have at least 4 people over here could answer questions and have discussions on this topic and anything connected with the person first, the player second, the goalie third. Stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas, for having us here. Swedish Ice Hockey Federation and IIHF too, of course. And thank you, all of you, gentlemen and gentlewomen, being here as heroes for 2 days, right? Listening, taking notes, sharing. It's a fantastic community, the goalie community. I love working with it. It's so much knowledge sharing and a high level that it's almost, sometimes it's very personal too, right? Hanu, thank you for yesterday. It was amazing. Nick is not here. Steve is not here, right? Or, yeah, yes, you are. Thank you also for today. Amazing lecture, insights, information, everything. And we're kind of going back to that basic thing for a couple of minutes now. To use one of your phrases, the man or the goalie behind the mask, right? It's amazing to connect those things. And we're so far ahead many other sports industries. So well done, every one of you. Super. My name is Andy. I work as a professional ICF coach, and in Sweden they say a dear baby has a lot of different names, so they usually call me mental skills coach or just simply Andy. And I had the privilege to work with one of the kings of Swedish goalie industry here. David, could you?
Yes, my name is David, and I'm just retired, and I'm now gonna do what Andy is doing, so I'm following his footsteps.
Well, hopefully you're not following my footsteps. You're doing the new footsteps. My footsteps are kind of old and worn out, so don't go those. It's too much pain and too much hurt. So we're going to talk about TCS today. Does anybody know what TCS is? TCS, DFT in Swedish.
I know it since I followed you for a long time. DFT is det förändrade tillståndet. Let's say, translated is, correct me if I'm wrong,
The change state.
the change state within the body when you play. And what
Exactly. So we could say that we've been listening to a lot of things that we could use to excel our performance in many ways. Perfect technique, all the tools we can use and everything. But there is one thing that we actually very often forget, and that's the basics. How does the body work when you start to lose it, as we say in ordinary plain language? Nervous. You have more words. Performance, anxiety, and so on, right? So we're going to talk a little about that too. And David and I, and a couple of more people around us, we formed this performance concept where we say that the basics you can use everywhere. And the cool thing is that I'm constantly learning new things because we use the system not only within hockey, but also within the equestrian industry, racing, golf, tennis, because it's still the human being behind the performance, right? Quite simple. So today's challenge for me is to get 2 days, 6 months, 7-step process into 30 minutes. Yeah, that's right, Maria. That gives me the TCS because I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to try. So that's why David is here, to try to start the whip when it's 25 minutes gone, right? So TCS, the change state, I invented that expression for 32 years ago. When I was in a specific life event, right? That most of people hopefully never will experience, but it gave me the top feeling, horrific, and you can call it death anxiety. So to work with that, I started to go into the deep undercover stuff and say, how can I, playing American football, parachuting, skydiving, bungee jump, get into a situation where my body just blocked away totally. So that was an interesting experience. And experiencing that, of course, what I did with a characteristic that I have, my personal properties, I started to search. And that was a beginning of the journey where we are today. So what I'm going to try to do today is I will explain the process, and I will explain how we do cope with the mental training and coaching in practice. Why do people contact us? What's the most common question we get, or reason?
How about you with my anxiety?
Anxiety, yeah. Confidence. Excel my level, right? I want to be better. Something happened in my private life.
Probably feel stuck in some way.
Feel stuck, yeah. That's good. And you're all right, of course. That's the right questions, and many more. So, did anyone you recognize the Maslow's hierarchy of needs? You know, when we were at school, they just showed us, and we were like, yeah, whatever, and so on. So we wrote it down. So we have the physical needs, right? Air, water, food, shelter, comfort, That's the base and the fundamental of keeping safe, right? Living. And then we have safety needs, protection, security, blah, blah, blah. Then we have social needs, And then we have achievement, self-esteem, wow, boom. And then self-actualization, personal growth. Fantastic. But, excuse my English, when you're in this deep shithole, nothing functions, right? Because then we have TCS. And that's interesting. So what happens in the body when we get TCS is that we think sometimes, when I ask individuals that come to us, and I ask them, I say, how often do you perform 125%, the overachievement feeling that you get, when you're just, why don't I do this all the time? And what answer do you think I get? A season. Come on. 50 times, 2 times, 5, 1.
Handful. Dozen times.
Dozen times. That's perfect. I like it. Most of them actually tell us between 2 to 5 times. That's the one feeling that you get, that you come out and say, well, today everything clicked. I mean, everything just like this. And you go like, and sometimes they get the microphone and say, oh, why did you perform so good today? And they go, well, everything just clicked. And then you can, at the same time, see the thought saying, how the hell should I reproduce this performance next weekend? And that's the cool stuff, right? Because are we actually able to perform 125%? Yes or no? No. Now, that's the cool thing. So 2 to 5 times per season. And actually, it doesn't matter if it's hockey or tennis or golf or whatever it is. It's almost always the same answer. I could be wrong, or my clients could be wrong, or the persons I talk to could be wrong. But this is the information I get, right? So if that's impossible, then we're actually performing 100% 2 to 5 times per season. And that's when the guys from NHL will say, don't tell my coach. Don't tell my coach, but I still get 100% pay. So TCS, does anybody know why we get it? Maria?
Yes, if we're in a state of pain,
Yeah?
that forces us to search for change.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one way to see it. Good. Another one? 300,000 years ago, we got TCS for one reason and one reason only.
Survive.
To run, survive, get out of here. Right? So we call it fight and flight system. But it was actually more flight than fight, because, the tiger or the lion is it's not no use to start fighting a tiger, right? So there's one reason, and we all more or less forgot that reason as a modern human being. Okay? So when we get TCS, I ask clients and people that are coming to me, and I say, how does it feel? Could you describe it? This is what they say. Well, I read you can always describe it as mental ill health. Okay, some say death anxiety, panic, shaky, poor vision, blah, blah, blah. You recognize the words, more or less? Have you been there, Kalle?
Many times.
Many times, good, perfect, you're human. You're sound. There's nothing wrong with you. Cold hands and cold feet. Have you ever heard about that expression? Justin?
Oh yeah.
Is that a positive way of talking?
No, not always.
No, it isn't. But it's actually a physical reaction when you get TCS. Which is kind of interesting because, as David told me many times, sometimes I'm just in the flow. And then one day I was there and I couldn't say what do you call it, a bathe?
A water balloon.
A water balloon, yeah. I was looking at my hand. move, like this, right? That's TCS. Because in the good old days, this here was the security for us to leave point A and go to point B without feeling pain, without seeing what actually is happening around us. We call it today
Tunnel vision.
tunnel vision. Is that a great thing to say in a meeting? Yeah, I'm coming in now. Sorry guys, I got a little bit tunnel vision here, so everyone, don't pick him today. No, it's okay. Or, this was a survival mode mechanism. Okay? Now here's the good news and also the bad news. The bad news is we forgot about it and we don't talk about it. And when we talk about it, sometimes we even, you're a weak, you know how it is, right? The good news is the same second we start to realize that that's the body's mechanism, we can work with it. And there are solutions. Because we did things when we came to point B that we can do before we enter point A as a modern human being. But they don't teach you that in school, which they should, I think. And it's always interesting when you start finding out what it is, right? So TCS affects the motoric skills. I do stress tests with my clients. It's the first thing they do because very often they're already a little bit nervous meeting me and they go in, today we're going to make a stress test. Oh, shit. And that's good because I really want them to be stressed out, right? And I measured the temperature in their fingertips during the stress test. And then 4 hours later, when they start realizing how to cope with it and they get the keys and the mindset right, and we do the stress test again in a different mode, what happens with the temperature in the fingertips? Does it go up or does it go down? It goes up. And then the golfers go like, holy crap. So when you promised me 2 extra strokes or 2 strokes less than, now I understand why. Because they practice in TOS, in the optimal state where, yeah, hi, how are you doing? Yeah, lunch later. Oh, great. And then they go out and there's like 3,000 people standing around and they were like, holy crap. And what happens with their breathing? Does it function normally or no? Because the breathing is the first sign for the body to go into TCS. And it's quite easy to do it too, because I can do like this, boom. What did you do?
Okay, scared me.
Yeah, but what did you do? You didn't even feel it, right? No, you did like this. So what stops?
Breathing.
And the sign is on. Let's get the fridge out of here, right? And the mechanism starts. And that's why we talk about genius mode. Very often you can work with that in many ways, but you also feel very good when you're there, right? You don't have the TCS in the body. You don't think about the past or the future. You're just here right now. Magic mode. But we don't practice that mode. Yeah, so you mean we should practice more like with our breathing, like meditating? I think I talked to Thomas a couple of years ago and he said that, Andy, you're probably the one guy in Sweden that got the most hockey players to start meditating and nobody knows it. Exactly. Because it's a good tool. Control your breathing. Perfect. And if you start looking at the goalies now, NHL in Sweden and goalies in the European leagues, much more often you see them go out and We've had the joy to work together, right?
Yeah.
Krillman, or sorry, Mr. Harlem. 3 goalies. Joachim, Marcus Svensson, and Gustav.
And David.
And David too, right?
Sure.
And how many Swedish championships? 3 gold and a couple of silver, right? And the cool thing is when Mr. Holm called me and said, yeah, they're standing there in the blue crease and they're doing that ritual thing, you know, they're breathing and everything. Is that okay? Is that a good thing for them to do, or is it nervousness? And this was way back in the beginning when we started, right? Because when people come into a meeting or something they have to do and they go like this, hi, how are you doing? Okay, hold on. I'm just going to breathe a little and just, oh shit, he's nervous. No, we're actually taking away the nervousness, the TCS, which is perfect. We don't want to play golf. We don't want to stay in a racing car doing 350 kilometers an hour in TCS. We don't want to be in the blue crease in TCS. We want to be there as best as we can with the perfect circumstances. And this doesn't matter if it's what you do, Maria, or what Mr. Holm does, or if we're talking to the goalie, you know, and we want to have them to understand some information, or if it's family, or if it's kids, doesn't matter. Because TCS takes away about 25% of your performance without even knowing it. Once you start realizing that you have TCS and you go like, oh shit, I'm shaking, that's when you're past the 75%. We'll go back into that. So decision ability, not so good. Hearing, not so good. Balance, could be a teenager too, but if you have kids, you can recognize this, right? The oh shit feeling is when you get that, you know, oh shit, something happened, oh, it doesn't feel good, right? You get that almost like that electrical thing, right?
It's when you're letting it go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh shit. Here we go. What did you do then?
I would start analyzing, like what happened, why didn't I stop it, what has I been prepared, has I not been prepared. The mind would just go.
And what did you do afterwards when we started work?
I was trying to cut the loop by breathing, doing some water in the face, so you cut the loop of the downward spiral, so you don't get stuck in it.
Negative inner dialogues. Have you ever heard about that? We talked about being the baddest critic, how do you say?
Your own worst critic.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Because that, you know, that voice just, there's nobody there to say, hey, don't say that about my friend. It's like, hey, I'm right. You really suck. Okay, thank you so much. So, it's not evidence-based, but the tests I do, which are very, very, very simple, actually shows that when you have TCS, the first 25% that you drop in performance, you don't even notice. Once you start working with it, then you can gain back, 10, 15, 18, 20%, sometimes even 97, whatever. It's a good day. But over a whole season, we can actually see that the performance is higher, more solid, is that the right word, right? And consistent. And it doesn't matter what industry it is. Is it work, business, golf, tennis, ice hockey? Perfect. Being a father, being a parent, being a partner. Creating awareness. And what state am I now? And am I open to learn, feel, see? You put the things there yesterday. No, I didn't. I can swear I didn't do it. Maybe I did. Here it is. Okay, so we did it when we were in a chain state, right? It's kind of funny when you start realizing that. So the life mission that I boarded for 33 years ago, when I had my situation, was to inspire, to raise awareness, and break the stigma of TCS. Because when it comes to physical things, we always have solutions, or we try to strive to find solutions, or we can discuss. I mean, I burn myself, okay? I get a burn blister, right? Blister. And I go like, look at this, and you go, holy shit, you should do this, or you should take a cold water, or whatever. Everybody can talk about it, right? Nobody says I'm crazy, because we know why we get it, because it's going to protect my injury, right? So when we get into TCS, that's the brain's mode of protecting us from an injury. Don't go any further, because that space over there is really, really dangerous. So go the other way. And then the body says, hey, you want me to throw in some negative inner dialogues? And the body goes, yeah. Oh, you know, this can happen. Oh my God, I got these thoughts. Oh, I better go back. No, we have to go forward. Okay. And then the body says, oh shit, it didn't help. We have to put even more and add the feeling. Now it's really bad, because now I have this feeling, you know, and I feel dizzy and everything. And then work that environment for 6 or 12 or 16 months. And nowadays we call it what? Oh shit, you heard about Lisa and Andy? Yeah, what happened? Yeah, they both just ran into the wall. Well, that's the fuse. You should be happy that the body says, whoa, stop. Right? That's one way of seeing it. I'm not saying it's true or it's the right way, but it certainly is one way of seeing it, because it saved my life. So I always say that TCS is actually a healthy reaction in an unhealthy situation. And here's where it gets a little bit weird, because now the goalies say, Andy, but I love playing goalie. And the golfers, they go like, no, I would kill to play golf. Yeah, but the body doesn't know that you're playing ice hockey or golf. The body is still the old body. So it says, I don't know nothing. But once you go, it's like, oops, now it's life or death. 300,000 years ago, we better get out of here. And then you said, no, body, I'm here. I'm in the middle of the moment. It's a Stanley Cup Finals. The body says, I don't know what that is, but you're getting more agitated, so we better get the hell out of here as fast as we can. No, I have to stay here because my coach says I need the money. Whatever reason you have, the body says, no. So handling that is key. This is the unknown. That creates doubt. And then the body has to react as if it's danger. Period. That's a fact, okay? So you will get physical reactions, and I call it TCS, to get rid of all that stigmatized, nervous, blah, blah, not feeling weak or saying the wrong word. And TCS, it's a change state. That's fair enough. Easy to remember. So the interesting thing, Steve, is the character, right? And you work with a disc model. Good for you. I started working with a Garuda model 1988. It was the first time I got got my interest into this. And it's also built the same way. I mean, it's science, right? Basic personal properties, the focus profile. So when we get into TCS, if I really marginalize it, or make it, generalize it, we get 1 out of 3 reactions. So if we are a person, just like you said before today, you need to have control and you need to do that. The more TCS you get, the more control you want to have. If you're a free spirit like Mr. Gronquist here, when he gets into TCS, he gets to be the biggest free spirit in the universe. But Mr. Gronquist has been working with that. So now he knows that too much free spirit is not good. Then you go down to the gray square, because I have a little bit gray left. Tell my body, I am at point B. I survived. Do the right thing. Be prepared. Follow your agenda. Try to get to be the known platform and work with that. And then suddenly, you as goalie coach say, yeah, he's back again, or she's back again. That's great. It just took like 15 minutes today. Instead of, oh my God, another one of those practice days, right? So, depending on, and you probably noticed this thousands of times, depending on what properties you have, you will also get the mind to work at that direction. So if you have a big heart, if you are a very concerned personality, you want to have team work, and you care about others, and you get into TCS, that's when you start doubting yourself. Oh my God, should I be doing this? Oh, maybe I'm in the wrong spot. Shit, I should never come to this symposium, convention. Oh my God, my family, what am I going to? If you're the red person, or have most of your square in the red personality, the resulters, they go-getters, they want to win all the time. What do, Thomas? Are they going to start thinking about, yeah, maybe I should have done this instead, or is it your fault? Yeah, of course it's your fault. Only your fault. So it's kind of easy when you know the characters of your goalies to give them the right tools, or to know what to fill into the tools, right? How do you want to write down the things you want to write down, or how do you want to learn? How do you need to learn? What backup do you need to do to get them to feel secure, and so on. If you don't know, the body will take away the pluses by himself, because that's the reaction. The body has 300,000 years of, how do you say, Vorsprung, advantage. So the cool thing is that this is the negative loop that David was talking about before. When the body starts, going into TCS, the mind goes into TCS, and then the characters go into TCS, and we're just looping. If we start learning that this is actually just a normal reaction, then we can dance with the reaction. Somebody used the word dance yesterday. Was it you, Hanu? Dancing? I love it.
I'm the dance, and dance is in me.
Exactly. So now we can dance with TCS, and I remember the first time when I got that insight after 8 weeks of constant death anxiety, 1 time every hour. And when I started to dance with that feeling, and I could feel it coming, and I started to breathe instead, and I could manage it. I could control it. I could actually live with it, maybe. And the same second I started to realize that, what happened, Maria?
It started to go down.
Of course. That's perfect. That's dancing with the body, mind and body. Amazing. That's when you go to the genius state. That's when you do things all over again, 10 times instead of 1 time a year. That's perfect. So what we really want to do is get those insights, and we got them from Hanu, we got them from Steve, from Nick. That's perfect. Everybody has to share. Everybody has to make their own little toolbox. But there are certain basics, and this is one of the basics. Once we start accepting that TCS actually is only our body saying, are you sure you want to go that way? Because if not, I'm going to turn up the TCS and you're going to shake. I don't know what happened, man. Yes, you know. Now you know. Control the process, feel good. Even if we're actually playing or performing in the highest level, we can still feel good. You know the blood, sweat, and tears things from the old days, the military days? No, doesn't have to be that. I mean, sometimes if you want to bleed because you want to bleed, that's okay. If you want to cry because you're happy or you're frustrated, that's okay. But if you cry because you have anxiety, that's not okay. That's when you actually take the best characteristics, the best personal properties out of yourself. And you can deliver your best yourself most often. And that's when the mind turns into plus. That's when we start thinking the right way more often. We're closing down TCS consciously. That's really cool. Because it's like turning off something, right? Physically. And turning off something physically. Oh, I can't run. Okay, so it hurts. We don't run, right? We stop. Mentally, I'm hurting. Yeah, whatever. You're a phone. Yeah, keep on going. Yeah, okay. Shit, TCS, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. The body's going to turn off sooner or later. I promise you. The body's amazing. It's our temple.
I think Andy maybe check the time schedule.
I don't like time schedules. So I'm going to go really fast here, okay? So bear with me. The success factor, combining the best of two worlds. So what we do is that once in a while we get stuck, right, in traffic. You've been doing that, Niels Torp. You do it often or, yeah, whatever. So when we're here, physically, people can, get out and say, yeah, let me help you. We push the car or drive there or whatever it is, right? But when we're here, what happens then? Because we don't know anything, or very few of us know, nobody wants to talk about it, right? This is just some facts. It's negative facts. It's not so fun to see, but it's reality. So if more people actually knew about TCS, maybe we wouldn't have those numbers in Sweden at least, right? 1 of every 5 Swedish national team athletes have experienced clinical levels of anxiety instead of breathing. This one is really nasty. I could actually argue that 2021 was a special year. Why?
COVID.
Exactly. But it also was a really good sign, because during that year, what did we have to do? We had to close down everything and actually be with ourselves for the first time in many years. Coping with my own mind, with my own thoughts, with my body. We should learn from that. Never to go back there again, right? So we see ourselves as human driver instructors. You sit there in the car, you don't know what's happening, you know that there's a wheel, there's some knobs and everything. And if I would say like, okay, let's go now, you would say, holy crap, this I don't really know. But once you know how to drive the car, once you know what goes on into your body in TCS, you can actually use it either to have a good time with your family, or you can use it at work, or you can actually compete with it, be the best in the world, or you can go and be David Rautu. 10 seasons. Fantastic. So pros and cons, David.
Yeah, I'm checking the time. Is it okay?
Oh, compliments.
I'll try to keep it short, but I did, of course, all the stuff that Andy was talking about, and the question then becomes why, what, and how. And the why I did it was simply because I didn't want to. I didn't believe in this hocus pocus shit.
That was a good start.
But I grew up in the north, and having the leaders I had, my first real powerful head coach was playing in Cincinnati one time, and he had a head coach at that time. The name was Mike Babcock, so he was very influenced by that, and that became my reality. So thinking and feeling was not okay, really. So. But after a while I reached out and we started working, and it was a huge relief just having somebody to be honest with and share the thoughts and the feelings and the anxiety and so on. So that was huge for me, because I would always lie to the coaches and teammates about feeling good, and that you just want to protect yourself and don't show any weakness. So and then what did we do? We did the personality stress, the test, the stress test. We did a lot of time working with down regulation. So and they taught me to meditate, and finally, after some long work, I could actually down-regulate so hard that I was in a different state, as to say, and I could visualize. For the first time in my life, I could close my eyes and see myself like holding a cup or making a big save, and at this time I'm almost 30. So I started this very late in my career. But that was a really big thing for me to learn. And then we did all the writing, learning how to put up an agendas to control and steer your thoughts. And of course the learning that he talked about, how the body and mind actually works, and why it does like it does. So, and how did I use it? It was like I told you about the down regulation. When I could perform my best, it was so clear for me after the career to see that I actually put in time in the morning to do down regulation and visualize, and I would set the tone for the day. And I wasn't smart after a while. After a few years, when I did well, I stopped doing it somehow. I thought I was kind of king shit, but yeah, but when I performed the best, I actually did that, and it was a big thing. And the big use also was during games, how to break the loop when you're in a downward spiral, or you let in a shitty goal or whatever. It's so easy to get caught in the mind and the feeling and the crowd and everything, and learning then to have the tools just by splashing water and knowing what to do. It made it so much easier to move on during the game. So I think those stuff were...
You got a baby too, right?
Yeah. And
that's TCS for everyone. It is TCS.
It's a funny story about the baby, because here, like I said, I thought I was king shit. I knew everything when I was experienced and everything, but at the time I didn't work with Annie, and we had a baby with colic. And for those of you who don't know, it's when the baby screams constant. So the season started, and me, the girlfriend, and the baby, it's just a effing shit show. So, but I just kept everything inside. I had the tools, but I didn't have the coaching outside that I would have needed. So that's the power of coaching. It's sometimes you don't need the tools to help you stop the puck, but when you get help outside the rink and make structure outside the rink, that makes you a better goalie. So
can I just fill in one thing that's very important? It's rather TCS power. We're talking about 300,000 years of experienced shit taking you like this. If we don't regulate it, if we're not present enough to say, today my day is going to be like this, I want to show up, I want to be my best. Yeah, whatever happens, boom, okay, now I'm there. TCS is never going to fail because it's a survival mechanism. We need TCS if we get lost in Amsterdam 2:30 in the morning. I can promise you that. But we don't need TCS when we don't need it, right? And it's so funny to sit with Christopher Nielstorp, the king, Kalle Brattenberg, the king, and this king. And yesterday, we were like talking, and for 15 years ago, the talk was like, yeah, the last game, you know, shit, I couldn't let it go. Well, we had to practice, and now it's like, yeah, my 2-year-old is killing me. And I'm just, yep, you got the tools. But it's kind of nice to be there too, right? So finally, go-to points. TCS is a healthy reaction in an unhealthy situation for the body. We can do what we do, but the body doesn't understand it. Be prepared, know what to do your agendas, write the things down, because we've done that for thousands of years. This doesn't count. This doesn't get stuck in the memory. If we write things down, 70% will stay. It's up to you to do it, but that's facts. Create the new me. Think of the old me as the guy or the girl that didn't know about TCS, and the new one who knows about TCS. Breathe. If you don't know meditation, breathing, yoga, search, find out, do it. Because it's a very good tool to survive. Practice being in the moment. What's important here now? Use mental tools. Whatever tools you can get your hands on, get expertise, try yourself. As long as you do it, it's good. Tune in. Who am I? Who said that before? Somebody said here, it's important to know who I am, actually. It's a good thing to know when I get TCS or what triggers me. That's great to know. Focus on what you can influence. Learn to want to control the process. Be ready. Accept the given circumstances. But always try to create a new, better circumstance or a condition for yourself. Use those tools, that knowledge. Breathing, being in the moment. Take control of a TCS. It's going to gain 5 or 10, 15%. Complement with functional alternative training methods. Meditation, Qigong, whatever. That's good for your mind too. Surround yourself with positive impressions and skills. And also, we had someone who said, give. I have a hashtag since many, many years. GSHTGP, it's good shit happens to good people. So do good things. You can say stuff if it's younger guys and girls. Good stuff happens to good people, right? But think good, do good, and good will come back to you. That's how the universe works, right? If you're focused on the past, you're controlled by fear. If you're focused on the future, you're controlled by anxiety. Focused on others, you're controlled by them. See, whatever you focus on owns you. That's a nasty one. Jay Shetty, good guy, smart. Don't wait for the right time to evolve. Make the time right. Now is the time. Thank you, Thomas.